Welcome, everybody, to the first ever Crosby Show Homes podcast. I am your host, Garrett Crosby, joined today with the world-renowned lender, Kevin Yax. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, man. You and I have been talking about this for a very, very long
months.
time.
Easy.
And, just couldn't get the calendar dates going, and we finally made it happen. And I want to give some context because obviously this is our first podcast, and I want to make sure, people kind of get to know us a little bit before we jump into today's topics, which today we're talking about just the basics of real estate. I think a lot of people, when they hear about real estate, whether it's looking for a home for themselves, whether it's investing in real estate, it's an overwhelming thing to get into.
Oh, yes.
And I want to break down those walls today. Because I know personally, I've got friends where when we start having a conversation about real estate and they start realizing, oh my gosh, it's actually not that complicated. It kind of sparks an interest. And then it's even more enhanced when you realize you can make a ton of money in real estate and investing in real estate. And so, today's opportunity to kind of jump in, talk 101 with the real estate basics with an agent, with a lender. I think it's going to be really important for our audience today. So really excited about this.
Oh, I'm so excited. And to your point, that sparking of interest, I think what it does is it catalyzes into an investor's mindset. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I can purchase this SFR, but how do I create generational wealth?
And that's the word right there, generational wealth. We've got podcasts coming in the future too, and we're going to be jumping into those things, investing in real estate, how to get started with nothing if you have $0 in your bank account, so much good stuff. But
we've been there.
Before anything, let's kind of jump into some introductions. I want to, obviously, why don't you start us out, Kevin? Tell us a little bit about yourself. What is your job in the professional real estate world? Tell us about what it is that you do.
Sure, absolutely, and thank you for that. So, just to kind of start from the square one, I was born in Rockford, Illinois. Parents separated, moved to Princeton, did weekends in Brooklyn. My mother met my stepdad, and we moved out to Southern California, Orange County, when I was 12. Been here since. Since then, I have gone to school in Tucson at University of Arizona, and I've also lived in Houston for about 3 years. So I've lived in the Midwest, the East Coast, the South, and the West Coast.
Wow.
And fortunately, I've been able to travel a lot throughout my life. So I've been very blessed with that, and I've realized that's so important in real estate and lending because it's all about just, building that connection and making that rapport.
Yeah.
And, once you've lived in the four corners of America, you can really build that easily.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about my life. And then, going into the career side. So I was actually, I was working for a French pharmaceutical company called Adosha at the time. And I went on Wall Street in Boston Financial District, and I got a $650 million contract signed with Eli Lilly for this French pharmaceutical company. And unfortunately, things went a little awry. And it was, I got out of that industry. So I went into financial advising with New York Life. And I realized, it immediately dawned on me that real estate is where this generational wealth is coming from. Mm-hmm. And, 401ks are important, Roth IRAs are important, but the tangible, real money is in real estate. And once I found that out, I immediately went into lending. It sparked my interest, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah, nice.
Now, how about you, Garrett?
Thank you for asking. So for me, what's funny about me is real estate was a part of my upbringing, but I didn't really know it, right? So my dad, he owns an appraisal company. He was a realtor back in the day as well. He's basically done almost anything you can think of in real estate, but I didn't really pay much attention to it, and I kind of wish I did. I've worked in education for a good amount of my life. I write music. I love all those hobbies, but what I realized, especially after having kids, was looking at my stock portfolio, looking at my 401k, looking at what available options out there existed for investors and the return on investment that those options gave you, it wasn't going to cut it. And it wasn't not going to cut it for me and my wife, Sarah. It wasn't going to cut it for my kids. And I think, being a dad and realizing that, we kind of wear that patch of like, we want to take care of our families, want to set them up for success. And realizing that real estate had the potential to not only set me and my wife up for success, but more importantly, my kids up for success was really the catalyst that made me get into it. So I started out as a real estate investor first. I invested out of state, today still own a few properties out of state, adding to that portfolio. And in that process of working with real estate agents out of state and, just going through the experience, I interviewed so many real estate agents during the process of first looking for where am I going to get started. And in that process, I realized early on, I just wasn't having much luck with real estate agents. A lot of them didn't know their numbers. They didn't run their figures. At the time, I didn't know very much myself, but I knew enough to know that the numbers they were presenting back to me, the negotiating tactics they were using were not working. And so I decided early on, okay, well, I want to still invest, but at the same time, I want to be able to invest in myself and be able to get a license so that I can represent myself. So it was completely for selfish reasons at first that I got my real estate license, right? And then from there, when I got my license and I started working with the team that, now I'm a team leader of here in California, I realized, I have a knack for this. I'm able to help others, and there's just nothing like it. This. There's nothing better than being able to help other people achieve something in life. And there is something about real estate, your home, your personal property. It's such a personal experience. It's a stressful experience for people. And I love being able to take people through that experience, do it well, I think, right. Get them in, on their first offer, and ultimately make really great friends with these individuals when they're done and stay in contact with them. And so I love it. I love my real estate agent, career now that I've built with it. And it's really been awesome. So thanks for asking about that. But now let's kind of jump into real estate 101, right? Let's do it. Get into it a little bit more, starting with what exactly is a lender, right? I think that a lot of people, they hear broker, they hear realtor, they hear real estate agent, they hear lender, they hear, all these different terms, and no one really knows who does what. And I want to kind of settle that right now. Can you kind of jump in and tell us, at least from your perspective as a lender, what exactly do you do?
Yes, and great question. I appreciate that. So, realistically, just keeping it simple, it's financing. That's all it is. So you want to purchase a property, you go and get pre-approved, you know exactly how much you can afford, and then from there you purchase. It's very simple, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on how that transpires, but it's just financing. That's the lender. Now, how about you? What do you do when you're an agent?
I'm so happy you asked that. Realtor and realtor or real estate agent, just so that everyone's clear, it's a synonymous term, right? We're the same thing. Ultimately, what our job is to be able to, number one, have access to the MLS so that we can look at essentially a network of different homes, what's available, kind of see kind of the hidden information about homes that isn't permitted to the general public. And then ultimately, our job is to seek out properties for families looking to buy properties. And not, by the way, not just families, but also commercial real estate as well, right? Businesses, organizations, find properties that interest them, write offers on those properties. And at the end of the day, what I really feel like my job is to not just write an offer, but it's really to build relationships with other agents and know how to negotiate so that I am ultimately serving my clients. One of the things that's interesting is that word clients is used in only a handful of other industries, right?
Yep.
And one of the things I think about, which isn't really far off from what a real estate agent is doing when representing a client, is very similar to like when you have a lawyer that's representing you in a legal case, right? What is that job of the lawyer? It's not to look out for everyone's intentions in the room. It's looking out for you, right? And so as a real estate agent, that is our job. We are looking out for our clients' best interests. And I really like to hone in on the best interest part of, what the job entails.
And if you do a good job, do you get referrals?
Oh, of course.
Boom.
Of course. It's all, this is such a word of mouth industry.
Yeah, it is.
And, that's why I've been able to find so far success in it. I'm sure the same for you. And,
Exactly.
I haven't revealed to everybody yet that we also have worked together. And of course, we make a pretty good team.
Little secret.
Just throwing that out there. So, let's talk about pre-qualifying,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And actually, let me back up because, I think a lot of people, especially here in LA, in OC, Ventura County, we got a lot of renters, right? A lot of renters that are, kind of on that fence of, okay, what does it take for me to move into officially having home ownership? When should I jump into home ownership? Can you give us your thoughts on that? When should someone who's a renter consider buying?
Yeah. So kind of, for me, kind of an easy rule without going into the pre-approval fully process is just take a look at the market and see what mortgage rates are in terms of overall payment versus your rental rate. If they're coinciding, it's certainly time for you to look at purchasing.
Yeah, I think.
How about you?
Well, honestly, I think. I saw a TikTok video the other day of someone who's paying $4,500 a month to rent in Los Angeles. And I'm thinking, look, don't get me wrong. $4,500 to rent in LA. I'm sure that the property is probably nice. And this kind of leads into building good financial habits, which I think as a society, we like to have nice things. We like to have nicer things. We don't find value in, maybe something that doesn't look exactly to the standard we want it to be, right? That's why so many people lease cars or get the more expensive car they can't really afford, but they are barely making that monthly payment, right? Versus getting the affordable used car that they own, right?
Yes.
And what I think is with renting, it's exactly that. It's leasing a car.
Yeah, it is.
You're leasing.
Spot on.
You better, of course, your landlord's going to pay for some things that go wrong in the property, but at the end of the day, that property's not yours.
The one difference is your property typically appreciates while your car depreciates.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So $4,500 a month to me when I was seeing that video, and by the way, it was not like a family paying $4,500. This was a single person. And so to me, I'm thinking,
oh, man,
if you can afford $4,500 a month to rent, you can definitely own property. Maybe it's not in the most ideal place or location, or it's not as big or elaborate as you want it to be.
Right.
But what people fail to realize with real estate is that when you buy into something, you're locking in your monthly rate, right? So your monthly payment with rent, it's always going to keep going up.
Right.
When you are purchasing something, that interest rate that you lock in at is going to be at the absolute maximum, the highest you're ever going to pay for that property.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're going fixed 100%, it's never going up. And, that's to your point as well. Something that's kind of an insider tip is when you want to look at where mortgage rates are today and compare them throughout history, pull up the 10-year treasury. So the 10-year treasury shows you directly what 30-year fixed interest rates are matching. And then if you want to see what an ARM looks like, you pull up the 2-year treasury and you can see exactly what that is. Now, 2-year treasury typically sits higher than the 10-year. So what that means in this market currently, to your point that you were just making, is a fixed is the way to go right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and then can you actually, speaking of interest rates, speaking of locking them in with a fixed interest rate, can you talk about what refinancing means? Since this is a 101 course, getting into a property, let's say you get into that property, and I think a lot of people are concerned right now because interest rates are going up, right? but I think refinancing is a word that scares people.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Do you mind talking about like what that actually means for home buyers?
Oh, totally. Absolutely. So, I think it kind of ties into you want to marry your home and date your rate.
That's right.
Right.
I've literally said that before.
Yeah,
I think
I've burned that in my head.
Yeah.
So, and it's so true because the feds fluctuate interest rates, and whatever's happening in the economy and politically, that's what's going on with the rates. Okay. Now, different time periods cause for different interest rates. So what's beautiful is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac came out stating that 2023, we're going to be sitting at a 4.5% interest rate.
Okay.
So to your point, anybody that purchased right now, you might see a little bit of a pullback, but it's so important for you to understand your market and economics as a whole, especially when you look at recessions throughout history and you see that besides 08, the majority of the times we've seen appreciation nationally, even through a recession, people. So I know there's a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder from 08, but what you need to understand is that was completely done because of banking fraud. And ever since 08 mortgage meltdown happened, they've completely audited everything and made the credit and lending standards so strict that we're not going to be seeing an 08.
Yep.
Even in the hardest recessions, we will never, ever see an 08 again.
Yeah. Well, actually, and I want to talk about what you just said and kind of tie it into how you get pre-qualified.
Right. Yeah.
Because the thing is that you're right. In 08, right, it was almost like you could walk into any bank and say, hey, I want this $1 million property. And the bank would look at you and say, all right, no problem.
Yeah.
You want it? Oh, yeah. Here's a month. Can you afford this monthly payment? All right. Totally. You're good.
This is terrible. Really quickly, just to add in.
Yeah.
I've had multiple bosses throughout my career in lending tell me that they've given a dog a mortgage. So
Stop.
anyways, swear to God.
Stop.
Swear on my life.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, pre-qualifying nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we both can speak on this, but you can maybe speak on the lending side. And I can share sort of what it's been like for me, especially when I've been purchasing my investment properties. Because,
absolutely.
Boy, it's different.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So nowadays, to your point, you could go in, get anything. You could just state your income. What the pre-approval process looks like now is we have a system and a guidance, and we have rules that we have to follow. So the first thing is, it's very basic still. You fill out an online application, right? Within there, you get your secure portal where you upload your documents. From there, I go in, I button everything up, I pull credit, and we see exactly how much you can afford based upon your income versus your monthly debts output. Now there's different loan programs for different types, but we want to generally keep it around 50%, including your mortgage payment that you're about to come into. Right. Now, after you've submitted your application, uploaded your documents, what I do is I, again, button everything up, send it over to the underwriter, this is the big difference between 08 and now is there's an underwriter, and these people are licensed. And so their license is on the line. Every time they look at a loan, they're putting their license on the line when they approve it. So they take it very, very seriously that you are qualified for this home. And that is why we are not going to see a meltdown whatsoever. I mean, we'll save some more content because we got a lot about that.
Yeah, we got to dig into
that
for
right
sure.
there.
Well, yeah. I mean, let me say, like, as an investor buying a property out of state, I can tell you, just translating sort of the lending side of, buttoning things up, and, you can tell Kevin's got more of the official sort of language terminology for what it looks like to get pre-qualified. As a person who's gotten pre-qualified several times for investment properties, basically this translates to you're showing every W-2, you're showing every pay stub that you have for any jobs you have. You're showing, if you rent, a history of your rental history. If you own, a history of your mortgage payments. Any debt you have, they're going to figure it out. They're going to see every debt you have. And you mentioned that debt to income ratio, right? Like, it is such a process, and sometimes it's almost borderline annoying because you're like, seriously, I clearly have the money based off my W-2, but they're not going to settle for that. And that's, I think, the big difference between, you know, 08 and now. And of course, the underwriting, you know, is a huge piece of it too. But
absolutely,
basically, it just translates to being a pain in the butt a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's a huge pain in the butt. But what it ensures is we will never see 08 again.
Exactly. And by the way, just a tip, again, Real Estate 101 for everybody listening is make sure you get pre-qualified before you start looking for houses.
Crucial. Because what's going to happen is, and I'll speak from the lending side, what I see all the time are, unfortunately, agents going out and touring, you know, sometimes for months, homes. Mm-hmm. And just to find out after they fill out the application, you're in the completely wrong market. And that sets everybody back. And on a lending side, you just want to, or you just never know. See, when we have an application and we pull credit and it's similar to a carbon footprint, but we get to see your financial footprint. Mm-hmm. We get to see everything you've ever done. Mm-hmm. And if you want to purchase a property through financing, you need to go through this process.
Right.
Every American goes through this as well, unless you're paying cash. So yeah, it's a completely different standard. And that, again, is why we're going to see appreciation long term.
Right. I think, you know, especially, you know, considering the fact, again, you're able to see everything that's going on. But let me explain from a realtor's perspective why we want that pre-approval in hand. I am always playing real estate like a strategic board game, right? Yeah. This is why I love it. You know, this is why it's so fun for me, because you want to make sure you have all your chess pieces ready to go so that when you find the home you love, there is nothing standing in the way for you to get that offer written up, be the first offer on the table, be the first person to the negotiating table. And one of those things every listing agent is going to want to make sure that you have is a copy of your pre-approval letter at the very bare minimum. Even better if you can be already fully pre-approved. Even better if you can say, hey, listen, I'm fully underwritten.
Yes.
Ready to go. And that's one thing, Kevin, I appreciate about our relationship is you have represented me a few times with a couple clients, and Kevin gets our clients fully underwritten before we even start offering on properties. And again, just put yourself into a listing agent's shoes here, especially in a market like right now where, you know, interest rates are going up a little bit. You're going to want to make sure that every dollar is accounted for in someone's offer. So if a buyer comes to purchase the property that you as the listing agent, which again, 101 real estate, listing agents are the agents who are selling the property. Your buying agent, the agent you're seeing the property with, that's called the buyer's agent. All right. So just from a terminology standpoint, I want to make sure everybody's clear on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
But imagine a listing agent gets an offer submitted, and it's your offer that your agent submitted. And that offer includes the fully underwritten pre-approval and waives something called the loan contingency, which in other words says, hey, I know I'm good for this loan. You have nothing to worry about. The money's there.
Yeah.
It's ready to go.
And at that point, that's where, you know, the great lenders set themselves aside from your normal lenders, because that's when I'll call and I'll explain to the listing agent, you know, hey, I just want to let you know that this is underwrittenly pre-approved. And what this means is no matter what, when you enter into escrow, this loan will close. This offer is as good as cash. It transfers exactly the way cash does and wires, etc. Just may take an extra 5 days, 7 days.
Well, and that's the thing. And we're going to talk about that in future episodes about how to kind of sweeten the pot on these offers. But using that example again, right? A listing agent receives that versus another offer. And let's say the offer comes in, it's the same exact terms, except they're not pre-approved yet, or they're not fully underwritten yet. Maybe they have a pre-qualification letter, right? Obviously, that listing agent is going to take your offer over the other.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously. But I'm willing to even bet you that a fully underwritten offer is still going to be considered over potentially an offer that just has a pre-qualification letter or no pre-qualification letter attached.
Absolutely.
That is offering significantly more.
Yeah, let me one up you. Oftentimes it's better than cash. And here's why. Cash offers always want a discount.
Yeah, you're right.
And when you come fully underwritten pre-approval, you're accepting the terms in the negotiation between your buyer's agent and the listings agent.
Right. That's well said. That's well said. All right, so let's jump into something else here. I know we talked a little bit about interest rates.
Sure.
Can you explain to our audience, Real Estate 101, what is an interest rate?
Yeah, so an interest rate is the cost of financing, in essence. So when you purchase $1 million home and you have $200,000 down, $800,000 comes out of thin air, in essence. Now that interest rate is the cost of what it is for you to finance that entire amount. Okay. Now what's beautiful that a lot of people I feel like don't understand is it's completely write-offable.
Yeah.
Your interest rate is write-offable. And that is crucial.
You got to love those write-offs, man.
Yeah,
Gotta
because that just means at the end of the year, you're just dumping money into a piggy bank that's expanding on its own. You know, in our market, on average, 5 to 7% annually. And, you know, right now in this recession, you're looking at an 8% to 9% decline if your money's just sitting in the bank. So, you know, what's the smarter investment for you? And yeah. In
fact, I think the last question we're going to close with is going to be whether real estate is a good investment or not. Which, I mean, come on.
What do you think?
It's a real estate podcast. I mean, obviously, I think the answer is going to be yes, but we'll jump into those details. So let's take a minute, Kevin, and I want to walk people through two things. The first thing I want to walk people through is how do you pick which agent and lender you want to work with? And then the second thing I want to do is I want to walk people through the entire home purchasing process. Because again, Real Estate 101, I want to be sure people are confident, they know what they're getting into. And ultimately, like I have found, and maybe this is the educator in me, that empowering people with this type of information can wipe away so many nerves before getting started.
Absolutely.
You know, like I hate walking into things and being like, man, I really hope I'm like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to like a car dealership and just that pressure of when the moment you walk in, it's like you're being bombarded by salesmen.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, here's the car and you know, this is how it's going to work. And do you realize if you just like went to the 2022 model, you'd be paying only $50. It's like, oh my God, like please,
right.
I just want to be able to think, and I can't even think because you won't let me think my own thoughts. That should never happen in real estate.
No.
Ever. And unfortunately, there are going to be people out there, agents out there who will make it feel that way.
Oh yeah. And I'd like to play a game if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
How about
love games.
I say what creates the best agent from my lending standpoint, and you can say what creates the best lender.
Let's do it.
From your agent
Let's do
standpoint.
it. Yeah.
So yeah, what creates the best agent is somebody who's communicative. I mean, realistically, I just say, look at Garrett. But, you know, I have to explain. No, I'm being serious, though. I have to explain what that means.
Blushing.
You know, what is Garrett? So Garrett is one of the most communicative people I've ever met.
For better and for worse.
Yeah. But it's so crucial,
Yeah.
you know, especially for this large transaction that these people are getting into. I think, you know, another thing is, can you relate to somebody? So Garrett is a family man. You know, he is in a monogamous relationship and he loves his kids. His faith is strong, and I correlate with that. And I have a very similar lifestyle in Orange County as well. And so I think for your agent, you need somebody who's concise, somebody who's communicative, somebody who knows what they're doing. So that's also probably the biggest take home. And the way there's certain angles that certain questions that you can ask to see what this agent is about and what they know. And those specific questions can be things like, you know, where do you see the market going? What has been your experience in this recent market shift? You know, what do you see happening in terms of this property that I want to purchase in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? What is going to happen economically across the nation? What is going to happen in my hometown. There's so many different aspects that you need to consider when you're purchasing this property, because, you know, if you get with the right agent like Garrett, he's going to have you start thinking in an investor's mindset and appreciation and your family and that generational wealth that we've been chiming in on.
That's true. It's true. I mean, I definitely don't want to waste people's time.
No.
Right? Like I want to get straight into it. I want to, you know, I want to write an offer that's going to win. I like to win, but at the same time, I don't like to win at people's expense.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Going to the lender side, you know, for me personally, again, your agent and lender are kind of going to be sort of the team you're going to assemble when you start looking for a home. And what I've said before is if you have a really good agent, chances are they have a really good lender they're going to partner with. So you don't really
It's true.
typically need to stress too much about, oh my gosh, okay, I got my agent, but now who am I going to, you know, use as my lender? Typically good agents are going to have great relationships with great lenders, people who are going to, you know, do the job and do it well. For me personally, a great lender is somebody who's going to pick up the phone 24/7, right? And why that is and Kevin, you can attest to this. How many times have I had to call you on a Saturday or Sunday because a client falls in love with the house? We need to get the pre-approval immediately started, or at least get a qualification letter so that we can be ready to go with an offer. How many times?
That's our career.
I know. I mean,
Countless.
You need someone who's going to pick up the phone at all times. So communication is number one, and that's a huge thing just in real estate in general, is communication. The second thing is, in my opinion, is you're going to need somebody who can get creative with finance. You know, sometimes the old conventional loan is not going to work out. Sometimes you need to look at FHA. Sometimes you need to look at other types of loan methods, other types of financing methods. And, you know, a lot of lenders, if, you know, it doesn't make sense to them, or, you know, it doesn't work within their kind of cookie cutter way, they're going to look at you and be like, yeah, you know, this is just not going to work. Let's try a lower figure, or let's try again next time. And so you're going to want somebody who's creative. Communication, creativeness, I think, is really important. And then I think the last thing is, you know, you're going to need somebody, again, who just is a great negotiator, because I also can say, based off experience, that I have sometimes had Kevin, and this is, by the way, this is common across all agents with their lenders. A lot of times listing agents are going to want to speak to the lender representing the client to either cross-qualify them with another lender to make sure that they are good for their finances, or at the very least, they're going to want to make sure that the client who's coming in with the offer is actually good for that offer, that the financing is actually there. And so if you get a lender who on the phone isn't able to handle some of the pressing questions a listing agent's going to throw at them, or just doesn't have the personality, or, you know, I mean, I don't know, the smarts, the skills, the quick thinkingness to just immediately let that listing agent know what's going on, and also be prepared to negotiate in the event that the listing agent's trying to figure out how much more they can kind of pull out of the deal. That's a third huge step. So I think, again, communication, creativity, and negotiating skills.
And I appreciate that. And that I left that out for you, negotiating. And that's why, you know, your agent who understands a market is so important, because they can then negotiate the proper price for that home.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Well, hey, we got about 6 minutes or so left on the podcast, episode 1. By the way, if you've enjoyed the content, please make sure to like the video. Please give it a thumbs up. That would mean a lot to us. And we just want to get this message out there. We're really excited about this content we're creating. So I would love if you like the video, and also subscribe to the channel. Like I said at the beginning, we've got a lot of these podcasts coming, and some great, you know, new episodes on the way, talking about a little bit more in-depth detail about real estate. And I'm excited about that. So join us on that journey. But I want to jump into what I'm calling rapid fire.
Let's do it.
Rapid fire.
Boom.
Okay.
Let's go.
It's not going to be that rapid.
Okay.
All right. I don't want to disappoint anyone.
Right.
I was coming up with what is this segment going to be? Rapid fire. Okay. Just work with me.
It's fun.
We got some real estate questions.
Yeah.
We got some not real estate questions.
Okay.
All right. So
Let's do it.
I'm just going to fire away. You ready?
I'm ready.
First one. Okay. What is the worst real estate advice you were ever given?
Oh, easy. Wait. don't buy. The market's going to crash. I've been being told that since 2012. Guess what? Market hasn't crashed.
Yeah.
How about you?
By the way, it's like anything that is going to happen. We actually almost need a healthy pullback.
I know.
We like need it desperately. For me, worst real estate advice I think I ever got was, you probably can't afford that mortgage. You should just keep renting. I had just gotten married, and this is back in 2014.
Okay.
And there was a condo we saw that, it was going to be tough. It was going to be tough to make it happen. It was in Simi Valley. And I think at the time it was like going for $300,000.
Okay.
Okay. It's like a 2-bed, 2-bath condo. Right. Really nice area. And guess what? Appreciation happened. And we decided to rent instead. And it made it that much harder to get into something over the years. So it's kind of in the same vein of wait. Another thing I would share is, and I want to kind of respect the audience we have, but there's a lot of people who, claim that real estate is just as easy and or hard as it was in the 80s to get into, or the 90s out there. And it is different. Yeah. I want to address the elephant in the room. It's completely different.
Vastly.
Our generation does have to get more creative, and we need to start thinking about this stuff right now. Because it's not just going to affect you. You might have kids one day. You might get married one day. You might already have kids and be married and think that your 401k is going to cut it. And I challenge all of you who have stock options or a 401k, a Roth IRA, whatever it is, to really dig into that. Meet with a financial advisor, really look at those numbers, and then tell me, is that going to be enough to support you and your spouse and your kids in the future? College, future home buying for them, weddings, things like that. So I really want to challenge you, if anything, on this podcast to kind of get into those details about your financial planning, and let us know in the comments. What is the best future plan financially that you think you have planned out for yourselves? Because I really do believe real estate is the way to go. Second question, you ready?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite restaurant in all of Los Angeles or Orange County? Because I know that's where you're from. It's the OC side of things. I'm on the LA side of things.
Man, how about, but you're from Orange County originally, correct?
Yeah, not from Orange County, but I mean, I love OC so much, and we travel out there all the time. We love going down to Newport Beach all the time. So I might as well. Who knows what the future holds? But no, I was born and raised in Northridge, and then got married, moved to Simi Valley. So I'm more in the San Fernando Valley, Ventura County, LA regions.
Yeah. But you went down. You had a family home in Newport, right?
Yeah, we did. Balboa Island.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, best spot
I love it
in the
there.
world.
Still do.
Yeah. So Orange County, just like I know LA.
Yeah.
So, I'd say my favorite restaurant in LA, definitely the Stinkin' Rose. Love garlic. I'm certainly not a vampire. I can tell, because that is my favorite restaurant. And then
you're a garlic fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gosh. And then let's see. Orange
County.
My
wife too. It's actually really funny. It's really funny.
Yeah. Poor Dracula and my wife. I'm sorry, but and then let's see. Orange County. Something fish. So I'd say something sushi. Related. Yeah, there's some hot spots.
I've been craving sushi so much over the last couple of weeks. I didn't mean to sidetrack the whole podcast into letting you know that information.
We'll take care of that.
All right, perfect. As long as you promise.
I promise.
For me, LA's got so much great food, so it kind of depends on what I'm feeling. Yeah. There's this place called I'm going to say two places. I have to. So there's this chef named Suzanne Goyne. Right. Mm-hmm. She's amazing. She used to have this restaurant called Luke that was located on Melrose, I believe. Just closed down a couple years ago. It's kind of pandemic related, kind of sad. Mm-hmm. But she's got another restaurant called AOC, and there's two locations in Beverly Glen area, Beverly Hills, and on the West LA side. It's amazing. Such good food. And then Osteria Mozza, not to be confused with Pizzeria Mozza, which is excellent and also is located in OC. They have a Pizzeria Mozza in Newport Beach.
Yep.
But the Osteria is, in my opinion, the best Italian restaurant in all of Los Angeles.
Oh,
you just can't go better than it. It's so freaking good.
After I take you to sushi, we're hitting that.
I can't wait. I just can't wait. Now I'm just really hungry. Let's see. Is it ever a better idea to rent than buy?
I would say yeah, absolutely. If you can't afford your mortgage, if you're a young person just starting out kind of thing, Yes. You know, you don't want to go too deep into a mortgage payment. But if you know that your future is, your income is going to increase, you know, you're hitting that point in your life where you're going to start making some promotions and, you know, getting some extra additional income, then absolutely.
Okay.
How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say it really comes down to financial planning. Right? Like, I mean, everything you're alluding to makes sense. I think that what people don't realize, and we're going to be talking about this soon, there's this beautiful term called house hacking. We're going to talk about that, I think, in one of the next episodes, and I can't wait. But you can house hack when you buy a property, and you can even house hack when you rent a property. We're going to talk about that soon. The moment you can get into a property, you should. And if you're renting, you need to set some sort of goal, or you need to get really strict with your financial planning so that the funds are ready and available for you to get that down payment going into a home. Because at the end of the day, ownership is always going to be better than rentals.
Always.
Period.
And remember, interest rates are they're write-offs.
Yeah, exactly.
So
rents also always go up.
Exactly.
They always
and when
go
you got
up.
a fixed,
Yeah.
constant.
That's it. That's the first episode. So, hey, Kevin, thank you so much for being on today and giving us your lending insights. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. Outside of that, hope you guys are doing well, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care.
Take care.